Welcome, my dear learners, for this course on mechanical vibrations. In this module 1, we were discussing on undamped free vibration systems and damped free vibration systems. In our previous lecture, we began our discussion on damped free vibration. So far, we have derived system response equation for undamped free vibration. Let us continue our discussion in today's class. I am going to explain what is the effect of value of damping factor or damping ratio on system response for damped free vibration systems. Now let us quickly move on to today's topic, that is we are going to discuss the effect of value of damping factor on system response of damped free vibration system. If I recollect the expression what we have derived, that is system response for damped free vibration systems, that is we are discussing damped free vibration. Now recollecting the expression what we derived in our previous lecture, recall the system response that I have derived in our previous lecture. System response equation. What do you mean by system response? Displacement as a function of time. It is given by a constant a1 e to the power of minus zeta plus root of 1 minus zeta square whole multiplied by omega nt plus a2 e to the power of so this should be zeta square minus 1. Sorry, this should be zeta square minus 1. So minus zeta minus root of zeta square minus 1 into omega nt. So this is the expression what we have derived in our previous lecture, and also the value of zeta, which is nothing but the ratio of damping coefficient to critical damping coefficient, which is nothing but damping factor or damping ratio, and critical damping coefficient. Critical damping coefficient is given by the expression 2m omega n, or it is also equal to 2 root mk. So these are the expressions we have derived in our previous lecture. Now if I change the value of zeta, what is the effect of damping factor on system response? How the amplitude varies with respect to time for damped free vibrations based on the values of zeta is the topic of discussion of today's lecture. Now if the value of zeta is, let us move for case A. So case A is when the value of zeta is greater than 1. Whenever the value of zeta is greater than 1, that is whenever the damping coefficient is higher than critical damping coefficient, then the system is said to be overdamped. System is said to be overdamped. For such cases, if you carefully observe, substitute the value of zeta in these two roots. The roots remain unchanged. The roots remain unchanged because zeta is greater than 1. We observe no change in the roots of this system response equation. This is root 1 and this is root 2. Actual solution is of the form a constant exponential to the power of ut, where u is the root. Since the equation of motion of damped free vibration system is a second order ordinary differential equation, we have two roots, that is u1 and u2. Now since the value of zeta is greater than 1, it does not make any change for the roots of this system response equation. So the system response remains same. The system response remains same for overdamped system. The system response will be same, that is displacement as a function of time is equal to a1 e to the power of minus zeta plus root of zeta square minus 1 into omega nt plus a2 e to the power of minus zeta minus root of zeta square minus 1 whole multiplied by omega nt. Now if you carefully observe, in this equation a1 and a2 are nothing but constants. a1 and a2 are nothing but constants. These constants can be determined by using initial condition. As I already explained, the initial conditions are one which are specified based on time. Example, at time t is equal to 0, what is the value of displacement? At time t is equal to 0, what is the value of velocity? These conditions are come under initial conditions. Whereas if I specify the conditions based on system boundary, that is at a distance x is equal to length, what is the strain rate? So these conditions are termed as boundary conditions. Whereas for vibration analysis we want initial conditions, because here the displacement is a function of time. Hence, since we have two unknowns, that is two constants in the system response equation, I want two conditions to solve these two unknowns. Those conditions can be taken as, so a1 and a2 are constants, a1 and a2 are constants which can be determined by using initial conditions. What are those initial conditions? Let us take the initial conditions as let us take the first condition as at time t is equal to 0. At time t is equal to 0, let us take the displacement as a known value x0. Similarly, at time t is equal to 0, let me take the velocity is also known, that is dx by dt. We denote it by x dot as v0. So at time t is equal to 0, I know both displacement as well as velocity. I know what is the value of displacement numerically, I know what is the value of velocity numerically at time t is equal to 0. Now we have two conditions, we have two unknowns a1 and a2. Substitute these initial conditions to system response equation and solve. I will get the value of a1 and a2. If I use first initial condition, what am I going to get? So if I use first initial condition, from first initial condition to system response, I will get 0 is equal to, sorry, it is x0, right? X is equal to x0 is equal to, substitute t is equal to 0. So if I substitute t is equal to 0, 0 into anything will become 0. Exponential to the power of 0 is unity. So therefore I will get a1 into e to the power of 0 plus a2 into e to the power of 0, which is nothing but a0 x0 is equal to a1 plus a2. So let us take this as equation 2. Let us take the system response as equation 1. So what I did, I substituted the initial condition to the system response and solved. I got one equation. Now use second initial condition in the system response. To use second initial condition in the system response, I want the derivative of this system response with respect to time. This is because of the reason I know velocity in second condition. Here I have displacement. So get me the velocity. If we want velocity, what I should do? I should differentiate displacement with respect to time. That is x dot is equal to, so differentiating equation 1 with respect to time. So I end up with a1 is constant. a1 is constant. This is of the form e to the power of ax. The derivative of e to the power of ax is a e to the power of ax. Hence the differentiation will become what? A e to the power of ax, that is minus zeta plus root of zeta square minus 1 into omega n e to the power of a is again minus zeta plus root of zeta square minus 1 into omega n t. Derivative of e to the power of ax, here the value of x is t. So it is of the form e to the power of at. I am differentiating with respect to t, therefore Derivative of e to the power of at with respect to t is a e to the power of at. And next I will get a2. Here I have minus zeta root of zeta square minus 1 into omega n into e to the power of minus zeta minus root of zeta square minus 1 omega nt. Correct? So now I can substitute the second initial condition. Substituting second initial condition, therefore substituting second initial condition, so if I substitute second initial condition, I know velocity I have taken as v naught, which is equal to, substitute t is equal to 0, so this will become 1, this entire term will become 1. So therefore I will get a1 times minus zeta plus root of zeta square minus 1 whole multiplied by omega n plus a2 times minus zeta minus root of zeta square minus 1 whole multiplied by omega n. So I got equation 3. Now if you observe, in equation 2 and equation 3 we have only two unknowns, a1 and a2, whereas rest everything will be known for us. What is the value of omega n? Square root of k by m, where k is the stiffness and m is the mass of the vibrating body. And we know the value of zeta is greater than unity, and we know v naught, we know x naught, so I can solve for a1 and a2. So solving equation 2 and equation 3, we get the values of constants a1 and a2. The values of constants a1 and a2. So if required, you can solve these two equations. Substitute a2 in terms of a1 to equation 3 and find the value of a2, and then substitute the value of a2 to get the value of a1 and show what is the value of a1 and a2 if required. This is how we should solve. So this is the expression for system response for overdamped system. This is how we should derive expression for system response for overdamped system. So if I sketch the system response of overdamped system, it will be like this. So system response is nothing but what? Displacement as a function of time, correct? So here I have displacement x. So for overdamped system, the system response will be like this. The amplitude of vibration decreases exponentially to 0. It decreases exponentially to 0, because if you observe the system response, it is e to the power of minus zeta, so it is decreasing exponentially, and one is minus zeta plus square root, another one is minus zeta minus square root, right? So therefore this is what? a1 e to the power of minus zeta plus root of zeta square minus 1 t. So this is nothing but a2 e to the power of minus zeta minus root of zeta square minus 1 into omega nt. So this is the system response curve for overdamped system. This is system response curve for overdamped system, where the amplitude of vibration will approach 0 as time progresses in exponential manner. This is about overdamped system. Next, moving ahead, I want to discuss critical damping, that is case B. So in case B, I want to take the value of zeta as unity. So whenever the value of zeta becomes unity, that is these two are numerically equal, that is damping coefficient and critical damping coefficient are numerically equal, then damping ratio will become unity. Such case is termed as critical damped systems. Such systems are called as critical damped systems. For critical damping case, C should be equal to Cc. Damping coefficient should be equal to critical damping coefficient, and the value of damping factor will become unity. So for which critical damping, what is the condition? That is C by 2m should be equal to root of K by m. So this I have explained in our previous lecture itself. That is, the critical damping coefficient is the value of damping coefficient for which term under the root of the quadratic equation must be equal to 0, from which we will get this condition. Correct? So if this condition is satisfied, C will become Cc. Clear? So this will become Cc, critical damping coefficient. Now we know what is the system response for forced vibration. So this is a system response for this is a system response for damped free vibration. Let me call it as equation X. Let me call it as equation X. Equation X is the system response equation for damped free vibration system. Now if I substitute the value of zeta as 1, it will become 0. This will also become 0. So therefore what are the values of roots? U1 and U2 will become same, right? U1 is equal to U2. I am continuing from the previous lecture where I have stopped. So you should have a grip about the discussion what we made in our previous lecture. Recalling that we are continuing the derivation. So if I substitute the value as unity, the roots are equal. So for critical damping, the roots, what are the roots? Exponential power are the roots, right? The roots are equal. The roots of the system response equation are equal. These two are equal. That is, U1 is equal to U2 will be equal to what? E to the power of minus zeta omega nt. Correct? Substitute the value of zeta as 1. These two will become 0, which is nothing but minus zeta omega nt, minus zeta omega nt. Again zeta is how much? 1. So therefore it is nothing but minus omega t. That's it. E to the power of minus omega nt. Whenever we have the condition as roots are equal, then system response will be of the form, the system response will be x of t is equal to a1 plus a2t into e to the power of minus omega nt. You might ask me that if I take e to the power of minus zeta common, it will become a1 plus a2 e to the power of minus omega nt. Correct? So since these two vanishes, it is e to the power of minus omega nt, e to the power of minus omega nt. If I take e to the power of minus omega nt common, it is just a1 plus a2. That is not system response. The solution for the second order ODE, whenever the roots are equal, will be of this form. It is a1 plus a2 t into e to the power of ut, where the value of root is minus omega n. Got it? The general solution for second order ODE with roots are equal will be of the form a1 plus a2t e to the power of ut, where the root u is nothing but omega n. Here I am writing the value of root, right? Sorry, I should write the value of root, not exponential. The root is just the term of the exponential form. It is nothing but minus omega nt. Why I am writing exponential? So root is nothing but minus omega nt. These are all called roots. So this is u1 root and this is root u2. So this is e to the power of u1t, e to the power of u2t. What is the value of u1 and u2? It is just minus omega n. That's what I will get. So this is the system response for critical damped system. Now a1 and a2 are constants which can be determined by using initial conditions. As I said, using initial conditions using initial condition. What are the initial condition? The initial conditions are at t is equal to 0, I know displacement x is equal to x naught, and at time t is equal to 0, I know velocity x dot is v naught. Use these two initial conditions and find the value of a1 and a2. Now using the first condition, that is x naught will be equal to a1 plus substitute t is equal to 0. T 0 and anything will become 0. Here also if I substitute 0, e to the power of 0 is 1. Therefore x naught is equal to a1 is what I will get. Now to get x dot, I should differentiate this equation. Let us take this as equation number 4. So therefore differentiating equation 4, so I will get velocity as x dot is equal to, this is of the form UV rule. First function differentiation of second plus second function differentiation of first. So first function is a1 plus a2t, differentiation of second. Differentiation of second is minus omega n e to the power of minus omega nt plus second function e to the power of minus omega nt into derivative of first. Derivative of first is just t. It is just a2, sorry. Derivative of a1 is 0. Derivative of a2t with respect to t is a2. Now substitute the condition. Put t is equal to 0, x dot is equal to v naught. So if I substitute the second condition, that is second initial condition for velocity, I know velocity v. So therefore velocity is v naught. Substitute t is equal to 0. If I substitute t is equal to 0, this term will vanishes. Correct? 0 and anything will become 0. E to the power of 0 is unity. So I left out with minus a1 omega n. Minus a1 omega n. What is the value of a1? X naught. Minus a1 omega n. Here I left out with plus a2. This is what I left out with. Correct? 0 into a2 is 0. E to the power of 0 is 1. So minus omega n into a1. So hence, what is the value of a2? A2 will be velocity plus displacement times omega n. So I got the value of a1 and a2. Now substitute the value of a1 and a2 in equation 4, you will get the system response. So from equation 4, the system response of critically damped system will become a1 is x naught plus a2 is v naught t plus x naught omega nt e to the power of minus omega nt. So this is the system response for critical damped system, wherein which if you tell me what is the value of time, I will tell what is the amplitude, where omega n is already known, which is root of k by m. So x is a function of only time in this equation, where x naught is the displacement, initial displacement, v naught is the initial velocity, which are both are known numerically. We know we have taken the initial condition as these two. Now if I plot the system response for critically damped system, the system response for critically damped system will be like this. This is time t and this is system response or displacement x. So you will get system response like this. In the least duration of time, the system approaches to stability, that is the vibration vanishes. So this is system response curve for critical damped system. This is time versus displacement plot. Hope you followed the derivation to derive system response equation for overdamped system and critical damped system. Let me pause this video for a while so that you people can copy it down. Later we will discuss what happens when zeta becomes less than 1, that is underdamped systems. Next, moving ahead for case C, that is in case C we are going to discuss what happens when zeta is less than 1, which is nothing but underdamped system. So far we have discussed overdamped system and critical damped system. Now I am interested to discuss underdamped system when value of zeta is less than 1. So what happens for values of roots when zeta is less than 1? If this value becomes less than 1, then root of negative term is what I will get. What is root of negative? Root of negative is imaginary. So therefore alter these two roots accordingly. Hence the roots can be written as what? U1 can be written as what? Minus zeta plus, I will take root minus 1, I will take common. If I take minus 1 common, root of minus 1 is imaginary and I can interchange these two. So it is imaginary times 1 minus zeta square. Similarly, root u2 will become minus zeta minus imaginary times root of 1 minus zeta square. Hence, what is the system response equation for underdamped system? So system response will become x, which is a function of time, will be a1 e to the power of minus zeta plus I times root of 1 minus zeta square into omega nt. So this should be multiplied by omega n, right? And this should be multiplied by omega n plus a2 e to the power of minus zeta minus imaginary times root of 1 minus zeta square whole multiplied by omega n into t. Now throughout I can take e to the power of minus zeta omega nt common, correct? What I mean to say is that x of t can be written as what? a1 times e to the power of minus zeta omega nt into e to the power of I times root of 1 minus zeta square omega nt plus a2 into e to the power of minus zeta omega nt into e to the power of minus I root of 1 minus zeta square into omega nt. Am I correct? This is of the form e to the power of a plus b, which is nothing but e to the power of a into e to the power of b. Now throughout I can take e to the power of minus zeta omega nt common. Hence x of t can be written as what? E to the power of minus zeta omega nt I will take common, take out. I left out with a1 e to the power of I root of 1 minus zeta square omega nt plus a2 e to the power of minus I root of 1 minus zeta square omega nt. This is of the form e to the power of ix. Now you people already know, we know that e to the power of ix can be written as cos x plus I sin x. Similarly, e to the power of minus ix can be written as cos x minus I sin x. Give substitution and solve, you will get x of t as e to the power of minus zeta omega nt times, replace this by cos x plus I sin x. If I do that, what I will get? a1 cos x is root of 1 minus zeta square omega nt cos x plus I sin x, a1 into I times sin of x is again root of 1 minus zeta square omega nt, cos x plus I sin x. So continuing plus a2 cos x, that is cos of root of 1 minus zeta square omega nt minus a2i sin of root of 1 minus zeta square into omega nt, close the bracket. Correct. Now I can take cos x and sin x separately. So therefore x of t can be written as what? E to the power of minus zeta omega nt times a1 plus a2 cos of root of 1 minus zeta square omega nt plus a1 minus a2 into imaginary sin of root of 1 minus zeta square into omega nt, close the bracket. Correct. So this is the final simplification I got. Now what I will do, I will call this as C1, I will call this as C2. Let a constant C1 be sum of A1 plus A2 and a constant C2 be A1 minus A2 times imaginary. What is imaginary? Root of minus 1. Hence I can write the system response as x of t will become e to the power of minus zeta omega nt times C1 cos of root of 1 minus zeta square into omega nt plus C2 sin of root of 1 minus zeta square into omega nt. So this is what I got the system response equation. Or we can also write the system response as, or the system response can also be written as x of t is equal to a constant C3 e to the power of minus zeta omega nt into sin of root of 1 minus zeta square into omega nt plus the phase difference phi 1, or you can also write in the third form, that is x of t is equal to a constant C4 e to the power of minus zeta omega nt cos of root of 1 minus zeta square into omega nt plus phi 2. So if you use any of the three equations 1, 2 and 3, you will get the same system response. Now one careful observation is that from underdamped vibration system we will get one more important terminology, that is this term root of 1 minus zeta square into omega n is called as damped natural frequency. Very important. So therefore the term root of 1 minus zeta square into omega n is called as omega d, which is nothing but damped natural frequency. Damped natural frequency. Kindly make a note, this is very important. Damped natural frequency is what you are going to get, where the constants C1, C2, C3, C4, phi 1, phi 2 are all arbitrary constants which can be determined by using initial conditions. The constants the constants C1, C2, C3, C4, Phi1, Phi2 can be determined using initial conditions. So this completes the expression for system response for an underdamped system. Now I should plot the system response curve. Instead of plotting only underdamped system response curve, let me recollect both the expressions what we have derived, that is system response of overdamped system, critical damped system and underdamped system, and plot it in a single graph for better understanding. That is, we have the system response as like this. This is t and this is amplitude x, which is a function of time, correct? Very first one, if I plot, that is system response for overdamped system. So the amplitude of vibration decreases exponentially to 0. Correct? And if I go for next two, let me use different chalk for better understanding. Next is critical damped system. So if I plot for critical damped system, it will be like this. Now just now we have derived system response for underdamped system. For underdamped system, if I observe, it will be like this. So the system response will be in waveform like this for underdamped system. So this is system response for zeta less than 1, and this is system response for zeta greater than 1, and this is system response curve for zeta is equal to 1. This is how we have observed the variation of system response for these cases. So if you want, you can start from the same amplitude and show it. Just I am drawing a rough sketch to get an idea of how the system response varies for these three cases, that is for overdamped system, critical damped system and underdamped system. Now this is termed as time period. This is termed as time period for underdamped system. This is called as time period. So the equation for time period, let me denote it with tau. So tau is equal to 2 pi by omega d. 2 pi by omega d, which is nothing but 2 pi by root of 1 minus zeta square into omega n, which is nothing but 1 by frequency in terms of hertz, damped frequency in terms of hertz. So this is the discussion of system response for overdamped system, critical damped system and underdamped system. With this knowledge on damped free vibration, in our next lecture I will derive expression for logarithmic decrement. That's all from this lecture. Thank you all.